Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining this GTA session on HyperWorks post-processing. Let me introduce myself. My name is Varun Venkateswaran. I'm the product manager for results visualization at Altair. Uh, Today, I'll be showcasing some of the major highlights in this release with respect to post-processing. So I'll first talk about an important update in HyperMesh post. Then I'll move on to important updates in HyperView. Followed by a slide on HyperGraph and Report, and then open the floor for any questions. Before I jump into the details, let me first take a moment to congratulate and thank our development and QA teams. Obviously, without their hard work, none of this would have been possible. For us to deliver so much content in such a timely manner. So once again, thank you to the development and QA teams. With that, let me first start with HyperMesh post. As a brief introduction, I would like to mention that we have been steadily increasing the post-processing capabilities in HyperMesh. Starting from 2021, we've been adding a lot of capabilities in each release. So continuing this trend, in 2022.1, we have added a new legend entity in HyperMesh. This entity basically lets you define any custom legend for any kind of plot, contour, vector, or tensor plot. So for different types of results, you may want different types of legends to be shown on the screen. So you could define that and then associate it with the plot. Then the legends will be listed in the results browser, and using the entity editor, you can edit common properties, such as format, precision. You can set the color scheme, you can set the position of the legend, etc. You can also export this legend through an XML file and re-import it, for use on a different model. That's possible. And then there is a full synchronization between the legend entity which is listed in the browser and the legend you see on the graphics. So you could change either one, and the changes will be reflected in the other. And then lastly, but most important point is, since this legend is an entity in the HyperMesh database, you have the full power of HM commands to completely script this workflow. So I will try to show all this in a quick demo right now before I move on to the other part of my presentation. So here I have a HyperMesh session, with some results loaded, and I've already, created some contour and vector plots, as you can see. I've also defined some legends. So right now I've plotted, stress, sine, 1 meses, and if you look at the plot control, you will see that I have a custom legend associated to it. It's called sine 1 meses legend, which is the first legend in the list here. So you could create a legend in one of two ways. Either you can do a plot. So for example, you can plot something like this, and then right click on the graphics and then save it as a legend. After making your changes through the graphics context menu, or you could come to the results browser. You can create your legend upfront. So let me go ahead and create a legend. I'll call it legend 1. I'll set some format, precision, color scheme, and then let's say put it in the bottom right. You can create your own legend like this, and then you can go into the result and associate that legend that you've just created. So you can search for it, or you can pick it from this list. You can associate it. So you would have the legend updated, the plot updated with the new legend. So that's another way to create and associate a legend. And like I said, you could also do the entire thing through TCL commands. So you can see that in the edit command file, you have the entire history of what we just did. So you could basically copy that and put it in your script and run it. So I'll just show a quick demo of that also. So I have a TCL console. I've already created a bunch of commands. Let me just go ahead and copy. Right. So what I've done is like I have activated the other plot displacement mag. I've created a legend for it, and I've tried to associate that legend to displacement mag. So I could do that. You could also, run some commands to update the legend properties. So for example, you can go in here and paste this. Yeah. And you can update the position. So the whole workflow can be completely scripted, or you can use the GUI to create your legends and associate. And like I said, you can create legends for contour plot, vector plot, or tensor plot. For the vector case, we have supported the directional legend. So you can see either a numeric legend for the vector plot, or you can see a legend, by direction. Or by component. So that's also possible. So let me now switch over to HyperView. So we are continuing to add functionalities to HyperView as it is still our main post-processing solution while we are ramping up on the HyperMesh side. So let me first start with Hotspot. As you may all know, Hotspot is one of the main tools we added a few releases ago, and we've been continuously updating its capabilities in each release. So in 2022.1, we have mainly done some enhancements to the hotspot finder in the HyperView upfront loader profile. So upfront loader profile is, as you may know, is a new workflow that's multi-threaded HyperView. And it gives the users the option of loading several results simultaneously and caching them in memory. So you can basically take advantage of this cache definition concept, when running a hotspot query. So how can you do that? Basically, what we have done is in the hotspot finder tool, we have added an option to select any of the cache definitions that you can pick from this list, and you can run the hotspot query on any of the cache definition. It doesn't have to be the contoured one. Once you run the hotspot search, you will be getting a note on the screen which will show you the hotspot location and the hotspot value. But in addition to that, you can also request HyperView to show additional results at those hotspot locations. So for example, let's say you run a hotspot search based on stress, as I'm showing you on the screen. But you would also like to see what the strain value is at those locations. So what you could do is you can set up it this in HyperView upfront loader in a way that you basically load all these results upfront, have them cached, and then you can go into the hotspot tool and request that the hotspot search be run based on stress. And then you have an option to pick additional results. It will list all the results that are available for that entity type. You can select those results, press OK, and automatically a note is created showing you both the hotspot result as well as these additional results in a single note. So this you can do on the hotspot tool. You could also do it in a general query. So if you're running a general query and creating tabular results, you can query any of the cached results. You don't have to plot them on the screen like you would do in general HyperView. Simply cache the results and then go into the query panel or the live query that's there in the idle mode. Pick your results that you would like to see, and you would see them in this tabular form. Outside of these enhancements in the upfront loader profile, we also have some general hotspot enhancements we have done in this release. So first thing to be aware of is we have added an option to exclude certain elements by set from your hotspot query. So this can be very useful in situations where you want certain elements. Let's say you have elements of bad quality which will have artificially high values, and you want to ignore them from your hotspot search. So you could throw them into a set and then have the hotspot query ignore these elements when it's running a hotspot search. So we have basically exposed this option. We already had the option to select by types. The new option is to select by sets also. And in coming releases, we plan to expose more such options to the user. We have also added some template expressions, which will allow you to retrieve some key entity information and post them in a note. So some of them I want to highlight here is you have the option to request for the corner IDs belonging to an element. You can see, in case of a shared node, you can see, which component contributed to the max or the min value. You can retrieve the material and property IDs and labels that are associated to a particular entity. Then coming to nodes, you can get the model step position of the node, which may sometimes be different from the simulation step position, or you can also request a position at a given time step. So you have template expressions, as I'm showing you in this image. You have template expressions to request each of these and then post them in a note. So that's on the hotspot tool itself. We have also done some key enhancements to the trace plot functionality in HyperView. So the main thing that I want to highlight here is if you go to the trace panel, you will see an option to create curves from a trace plot. This works very similar to the measure in HyperView. So you can either create a curve per node, or you can create a single curve that connects all the nodes for which you have requested tracing. And also, like measures, you have the option to do a live link between the curve and the animation. So here you can see that I have the animation on the left side, and I have the same animation superimposed on a graph on the right side, and it's updates with the animation. So what is the use case where this could be very useful? So one primary use case for which we added this option is there are use cases where users want to trace the cross-section deformation on and overlay it on a graph and then do some measurements. So in such a situation, you could use this functionality. And in order to do this, we have also made a few other enhancements, mainly to the selection options in the trace panel. So the first option we have added to the trace panel is the option to multi-select nodes. So until now, in trace panel, you can select nodes one by one. You didn't have the option to select them by window or by path. Now you have an option, especially you have this option to select nodes by path. So you can pick nodes and then it will create a path along those nodes. Or you could use any of the extended selection methods that you're familiar with also. Then you can also select temporary nodes. So sometimes you have a cross section or a section cut in your model that doesn't cut at actual nodes, it cuts through the model. So in such cases, you want to be able to pick the temporary nodes that are at the cut. So you could do that also. So you can see in this image, all the nodes with the star next to it, they are temporary nodes that are created when there is a section cut. You could do that. Then once the nodes are selected, you add them to the trace panel list, and then you can sort them also, because in some use cases it would be very useful to sort the nodes first, either sort by x coordinate, y coordinate, z coordinate, or shortest path or ID. You do the sorting before you create the curves. So this will give you a smooth curve of the cross section. So those are the I'll show a brief demo of it once I'm done with the next slide on how this feature works. Another feature we have added, this will be very useful. It's a simple feature but very useful for a user to refresh their plot. So we have now a one-click option basically to refresh your plot whenever your display changes. So the way it works is, for example, let's say you have contoured the entire model to begin with. So you get a contour plot on the screen and you get a legend with a certain min max based on what you have contoured. Now, if the user, if you isolate some parts out of it, we show the isolated parts on the screen, but the contour has not been updated to match that display. So using a single click, either press the W key or use the context menu or use a HyperWorks command language, you can simply refresh the result. with this one-click option, and it will automatically update the contour with the new min and max based on what you have displayed. So you don't have to go to the contour panel, select the displayed elements again, and then reapply your contour. With just this one press, you can basically refresh your plot quickly. And this works for not just for contour plot, it works for ISO, vector, and tensor plots. So this is a useful option for any user to have. So let me then show a demo of these features. I will first start with the hotspot updates. So here on the screen, I have already loaded a model. This is in HyperView upfront loader profile. You can see that I've loaded the model, loaded the animation steps, and I have loaded 5 results. Some nodal results and some elemental results. So they're all loaded, ready to go. They're cached in memory as indicated by this check mark. So what you can do is you can come into the hotspot tool. And in the upfront loader profile, you will see this extra drop down to pick the contour definition. So you do have the option to pick the current contour, whatever is contoured on the screen, or if you have nothing contoured on the screen, you can select from any one of the cache definitions that are available in the session. So let me go ahead and pick stress, for example. I'm going to pick stress and say find hotspot. We found 5 hotspots. And then I want to see where those hotspots are located, but I also want to see strain results at those locations. So you can come in to the additional result button, pick, open the dialog, and it will list all the results that are available for this entity type. So in this case, I have contoured stress, which is on the elements. So the one additional result that's available on elements is plastic strain. So you can pick plastic strain, hit OK, and then hit apply and review. So basically you have the nodes displayed in the best view mode, which is a feature of the hotspot tool. You have the value, stress value shown with the ID. I mean, this is all configured automatically. So the user doesn't have to manually enter the templex expressions. But in case you wanted to modify it, you could always go ahead and come back to the hotspot finder tool, pick on the formatting, and you have basically a pre-created text field, with the necessary templex expressions. So this is basically what hotspot tool is creating behind the scenes and posting it in the notes. So that's basically the hotspot finder update. And then if you want to do a query, basically you can come in here. So in idle mode itself, you have a query table shown. So if you're doing, for example, I will show nodal results. Let's say I want to pick some nodes and I want to see the nodal results at those locations. So you can right click on the column header and you basically are shown the various things you can query from a node. So here you have all the cached results that are available at this node. So I'm going to go in and pick all these 3 things. Okay. And you can just, at this point, basically, if you select any node on the screen, you have a live query that will show you the key information. You can also, pick by window or do any of the other selection methods. And you basically get this table with the displacement, acceleration, velocity values. As you can note, I have not contoured anything here. I've simply queried from the cache data itself. And then from the table, once you have the table, you may know that there is an option to export this table into a CSV, for further manipulation. So that option is there. So that's the hotspot tool update. Next, I'm going to show you the trace tool. So here, what I've done is I've already loaded the model and I've created a cross section. I've done a section cut. Okay, and when you come into the trace tool, you will basically see a bunch of changes. One is the option to do a multi-select, and then there is also an option to create curves. Okay, so I'm going to pick a multi-select option. This will enable the collector to work in a multi-selection fashion. And then you have the extended selection mode, and you have a new option here to do by path. Okay. So you can zoom in, and then I'm going to pick some nodes to define my path. Okay. So don't have to pick each and every node along the path. As you pick nodes, it's going to construct a path, right? So I'm going to just like go along the section, pick a few nodes, something like this. So the dialog shows you the nodes that you actually picked. And then once you hit add path, you will see that it has added all the nodes along the path, created a list here. So you have the option to plot each and every node separately as a curve and see its tracing path on a graph. But you can also do a single curve. So I'm going to do first a single curve. So just to show you how it works, basically you can do, let's say I want to see how the cross section deformed for a few steps. Let's say I'm going to pick the first step and last step, hit OK. And then I'll say create curve. Let's say a new plot. And since I'm going to do a single curve, and this is a Y cross section. So my y-axis would be basically z coordinate, x-axis would be x coordinate, and I can get OK. So you basically get essentially the cross section traced on a graph. And this can be very useful, to see the cross section deformation over through the simulation. And using the graph, you can do measurements. How much maybe the cross section deformed. You can do measurements and stuff once you have this data on a graph. So that's this is a static curve. It doesn't change with the animation. You could do a live link also. So maybe if I do, for example, let's say I select all the plots, and then you can do a live link, exactly same thing, and I'll do it in a new plot. So you get the cross section for the frame one, and as you animate, you will see basically this cross section changing through the simulation. Okay. So that's the trace plot feature. So that concludes the demo of my presentation. I will now switch back to presentation mode. So before I switch to HyperGraph and Report, let me just take a moment to quickly mention a few more useful enhancements that we have done in HyperView that I think it would be good to know about. So first one is update to HyperView player. This is our free viewer. So we have added an option to customize mouse settings in HyperView player. So you have either two preset options. One is a default mouse mode, which will be similar to the new HyperWorks interface, or there is a legacy mouse mode. And then there is also a custom option where you can it will activate this GUI and you can change the mouse bindings to what you would like. So this is completely customizable now in HyperView player. Then second one is option to extract assembly and include hierarchy from the input deck. This is useful in certain cases where maybe you have loaded the result file as model and result in HyperView, and you don't have this assembly or include information. So you can load the result file as model, but you can go into tools menu and using the extract solver deck data tool, you can point to the input file corresponding to that result file, and then ask that HyperView extract the include and assembly information from this include file. So it's going to look for the necessary metadata in the file and then create the browser hierarchy, extract this information and put it in the browser. So this is quite a useful tool. We have had it for quite a few releases, but the main enhancement you have done in this release is to add the option to extract includes also from the input deck. Then we have enhanced our color by mode option, which is available in the view toolbar. So this option now can work across Windows. So there is a multi-window mode that you can activate, and if you set the color by mode, in one window, it's going to propagate to all the other windows in the same page. We have also added a preference option to control the animation behavior during view manipulation. So by default, HyperView pauses the animation when you do a dynamic view manipulation, say rotate or pan the model. We usually pause the animation. This is for performance reasons. But user does have an option to keep the animation going when manipulating the view, and you can control it through this preference option. There is also a preference statement corresponding to this option so that you can set it up, and so that will activate the behavior at startup itself. Then on the derived result side, we have the Hessian failure theory. We have added or enhanced it with the two new options, two new failure modes that you can compute, the fiber and matrix failure modes. And then for the contact Coulomb friction status result coming from OptiStruct, we are going to display a category legend now with the proper contact status labels instead of a numeric legend. So this enhancement follows the work we did for the other contact status results that we did in previous releases, for both Abacus and OptiStruct. We have added the same option now for this result type also. Then for the new HyperWorks, we have added a couple of shortcuts. One is a Shift M to toggle between the different mesh modes. And then there is also a Shift T option to turn on off transparency of hidden parts. And lastly, I want to mention that we have dark theme support now across all the HyperWorks applications. So this is not specific to HyperView. You can basically enable dark theme across all the HyperView applications from this release. So with that, I conclude the HyperView part. I'm going to switch over to now HyperGraph and Report. So for HyperGraph and Report, generally our focus, the focus of the development team has been on mainly modularizing these two products, and then so that we can have a stronger core that can support some advanced use cases. But at the same time, we are also trying to continue to support the existing product. We are trying to balance between different needs, and so with that, we have done some solver improvements in HyperGraph. So on the OptiStruct side, we outputs from STRS or force or SPC file now follow a unified format. What this enables us is it makes it very easy now to extend support to new result types. We have also modularized table view. The formatting panel has been ported into a dialog, but it will continue to support all the previous templates and selection types. Then coming to reports, in the case of automated reports, we have added the ability to pick a specific model location. This is mainly to prepare for multi-model support that's coming in HyperWorks. We have also done some miscellaneous enhancements, the loop module, such as load case selection, HWC, and layout related enhancements. So these are the main updates in terms of for the HyperGraph, table view, and report products in this release. So that, I think with that, I conclude my presentation actually. So thank you once again for attending, and I hope you found the information useful.